Welcome back to On Texas Football. And for the latest edition of the Recruiting Breakdown, I'm Jeff Howe, joined as always on the show by CJ Vogel, Hank South, and Jerry Hamilton. Got a lot to get to on the show this week. We're going to hear from one of the newest Texas offers. We're going to preview an upcoming commitment and get you plenty of news, notes, and nuggets from the recruiting trail. But Jerry, before we do any of that, let's thank our long-running sponsor here on the Recruiting Breakdown and give a shout-out to Mark Saunders.
Absolutely. When it comes to protecting all your stuff, and you need to do that, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? We have your guy. That's Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders. He serves the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. That means he's the only insurance agent you'll need. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and ATV. Call Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571. On Texas Football Guarantee, as always. With more than 35 years of experience, you'll be in great hands with Texas alum Mark Saunders. Again, give him a call today, 512-218-8571 for all your insurance needs.
All right, we will preview the upcoming commitment of Texas tight end target Brock Williams coming up here later in the show. But, CJ, I want to start with you, and I'm always a big fan of what our colleague Rod Baber says. Look, recruit things you can't coach. You can't coach 6 feet 8 inches, CJ. You went up to Gunter to see Caleb Syler. What'd you find out about one of the newest Texas offensive line offers?
Yeah, really that whole area of DFW is going crazy, right? Melissa, Anna, Gunter. Now, of course, they've won 3 state championships over the last 4 years. They've produced some solid talent. Now, one of those big pieces on that offensive line is Caleb Syler. Texas offered on Sunday. Right after he got done with his official visit to Northwestern, the Longhorns jumped in the fold. You'll hear from Syler here in a minute. Look, he likes Texas quite a bit. Both of his parents attended. His mom got her bachelor's from Texas as well. She was actually an all-world swimmer at Pitt back in the late 1990s. Also, you see why he got his height. She's about 6'1", so that goes to show where the athletic background came from as well. But Texas hosted him on April 3rd. They stayed in contact. Coach McIndoe was a big piece of this as well. And then Coach Flood stopped by Gunter, checked some boxes with what he liked. The offer was extended on Sunday. Now the next step is scheduling an official visit, in which it looks like that June 19th weekend could be a perfect fit for Syler and the University of Texas, in which, if that goes well, he is a guy that I would have a hard time seeing not end up in this class if Texas and him continue down this path. But that offer was obviously very big for him. Other official visits right now, TCU, Arkansas, and South Carolina, but the Longhorns offer meant a lot to him, and right now are trending in the right direction for the 6'8" offensive lineman out of Gunter.
Talking to Caleb Syler, the recent Texas offer.
Yeah.
Give me just a quick reaction. What was that like when Kyle Flood called and said, hey, you have an offer from the University of Texas?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. I've been in Texas all my life, moved here in 2012. And I've been a UT fan, born and raised a UT fan. Both my parents attended UT in college, so I was kind of born into it.
Yeah.
And, it was obviously the biggest offer I have so far. Just like, top level academics, top level football, obviously, and it's just great school. So I was super excited. Like, honestly, I called my head coach as soon as I got it. It was a great experience.
So you said your parents graduated from Texas. What was that like growing up? Did they have games on? Did they follow the team? Mm-hmm. How quickly did you become a fan of Texas?
Yeah, so I have baby books of Texas Longhorn apparel. So
okay.
It was from an early age I was a UT fan. But so my mom got her doctorate at UT Austin, and my dad attended there for 3 years. So it was. I've been a fan for, since when I can remember,
Well, good deal. I know that you made it down there for an April 3rd, I believe, was the time for spring football. What did you take away from that visit?
Yeah, so, I really love seeing the level of competition there. Top level football means they're going to have top level players on both sides of the ball. So, you know that you're going to be playing with the top players in the nation at Texas, So that was something that was really cool to see. And just the bond between guys. I got to talk to player Trevor Gooseby, who's going to be their starting tackle this year. He was a really cool guy, and I got to kind of talk to him because he's from Melissa, which is down the road. So it's pretty cool, seeing their brotherhood. I got to sit in on a meeting. Everyone was super smart football-wise. They were all on the same page. So. And
then from that visit, April 3rd, to the offer, how often were you in contact with Texas? I know you mentioned Coach McIndoe was a big piece of that as well.
Yeah, so me and Coach McIndoe started talking probably mid-March. Started getting connected, but we kept contact for and then right before I went on the visit, I got in contact with Coach Flood, and then I had a meeting with him. He said, going to come down to see you, evaluate in person, and then go from there. And then he came to my school about 2 weeks ago and kind of sat me down and told me he's going to review the film, or review the film with Coach Sarkisian. Here we are, so yeah.
Well, and then the offer came. Well,
yeah.
I know it's not just Texas. There are plenty of others that you're still evaluating. You were on an official visit this past weekend in Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
You have TCU coming up, Arkansas, South Carolina. Where are you right now in your recruitment? Are you still completely open to everything as well?
Yeah, I'm still pretty open. Like, obviously, like, we're getting in later stages of the game, so, like, don't have many weekends open, and it's getting pretty close down to it, but I still have my top couple of schools, like you said, Northwestern, TCU, Arkansas, South Carolina, Texas Tech is one I'm also pretty interested in right now. They've been in contact with me, but so that's where my recruiting is. I'm still pretty open though.
Yeah, what are you looking for when you go on these trips? Is it relationships? Is it fit? What's kind of that next kind of level for you?
Yeah, so for me, I took my a lot of spring visits to see the practice and kind of see the brotherhood of guys in the practice among the team, and then seeing the competition, efficiency of practice, the systematic scheme and everything like that. And that was kind of the first stage, and then the second one was through these official visits. I want to get to know the coaches better, know the players better on a more personal level, see could I really fit, that's the fit part of it.
Right.
So.
Of course, we'll see, if you and when you make it down to Texas, but talk to me real quick. Beyond football, when did you know, okay, I have a future, or I'm pretty good at this sport, I might have a future at the college level? Yeah,
so it kind of started probably, it was funny, in elementary school, my mom was superintendent, and I got the head football coach knew me, and he told my mom that I could go play football in Ivy League school because he knew that I was smart. And we kind of thought he was being crazy. And then, middle school, I was pretty big, and then freshman, sophomore year, I got really big, and my coach was like, you can start going to camps and start getting out there, and I just played to the best of my capabilities and figured out that I was a pretty good player, But I've always kind of loved football, and I really, this past couple of years, moving up from JV to varsity, I've really started to fall in love with the game and the intricacies of it. So,
well, tell me, where'd the size come from? Who's the athlete in the family? Is it mom or is it dad?
Both.
Yeah, they were both athletes.
Yeah. So my mom, she swam at Pitt, so she was a swimmer. She's about 6'1", and she was really athletic when she was in college, and I think she made the Olympic trials or something. So
I would say that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the Walk of Fame at Pitt. So that's pretty cool. My dad, he was he went to a small school in East Texas. It was Price, Texas. And it was graduating class of 12. So it was a really small school. He was probably a 5-sport athlete, all the sports. And he played a little bit of ball at, I think, Kilgore Junior College, Tyler Junior College, one of those two. And then he went to Texas to finish out his school. And he didn't play football there, but they're both pretty athletic. So. Well,
outside of football, what do you play? Or what did you grow up playing? What was kind of all right, if it's not football, if it's not something in pads, I'm on the court, I'm on the diamond, I'm doing this.
Yeah, it was basketball.
It was basketball?
Yeah, it was obviously being my height. It was an obvious thing for me. And play spring ball, and there was a point in my life where I thought I might have been playing basketball in college, and I realized I was going to be 7 feet. You need to be a 7-footer these days to play basketball. But and I realized that, and I was like, and it was probably too physical to play basketball. If you can't hit someone, it's not really my sort of deal.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite questions to ask offensive linemen is, if you could describe your game in one word, what word would would it be?
Gritty, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of guys that they don't put their hand in the dirt. They don't finish blocks. They can take the easy way out. But that's not me. It's the quote. There's no greater pleasure than moving a man from point A to point B against his will. So that's awesome. It's kind of what I saw my game after, and that's what I love to do. So.
Well, good deal, Caleb. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you,
CJ. Thank you for that good stuff. Guys, let's get on to an upcoming commitment announcement. Jerry, Brock Williams has been on the board for Texas for, I've lost count of how long. It seems like forever. He's scheduled to make his decision on Friday. Jerry, how does this one look for Texas, and your thoughts on Brock Williams as a prospect?
Yeah, look, it's been for a while. It's been down to 3 schools, Texas, Georgia, and Ohio State. And there was a lot of the season where Georgia was considered the favorite, Hank can speak to this as well. We've all heard the same thing on this recruitment. But obviously, he's had a couple of really good visits to Texas, and there's some confidence on the Texas side, and it hasn't waned. Jackson Dollar committed to Georgia from North Carolina. Is that a deciding factor if it ends up being Texas over Ohio State and Georgia? I don't know. But what we've heard is Ohio State has been a distant third. Let's see if that maintains leading into decision day coming up on May 15th. But on tape, you can see he is athletic, agile, physical. He's got a lot of tools as a tight end prospect. As a pass catcher, he has got loose hips. He's got ankle flexion. He can run. He can make multiple moves, so he can make you miss. He has enough speed, and he's a guy that can grab the ball at its highest point. He has good timing. He obviously looks like a rebounder on a basketball court. That play right there, we're watching. So as a pass-catching tight end, he has everything you look for, and that's why he's ranked as one of the top 2 or 3 in the country. And a guy that Jeff Banks has been on for about a year now, was up to see him multiple times, obviously in Libertyville, Illinois. And getting him on campus, like when he came down in mid-January, the same weekend at Easton Royal was in town. They were in town for multi-day visits, and it was kind of just an offense. It was after the junior day, so it was more of just an offensive weekend for some top prospects. And the fact that Brock Williams spent multiple days in Austin at that time, I think all of us that covered Texas kind of raised our eyebrow on that one and said, oh, okay. This is more than just this kid's going to Georgia. This is very competitive. And then we started hearing more and more about Texas. But this guy's a perfect fit. I would say perfect fit in Steve Sarkisian's scheme if he picks the Longhorns.
Yeah, Hank, to Jerry's point, Brock Williams is an out-of-state prospect, but as often as he's visited Texas, as long as these two have had mutual interest in each other, this hasn't felt like your typical out-of-state recruitment.
No, and if you're a recruiting OG, it used to be follow the visits, and that'll usually point you to where a kid might go. That doesn't really hold true as much today with the NIL era, but in Brock Williams' case, I think he's kind of letting us know where things are trending. Started off with that visit for the Arkansas game. That's really what kind of got Texas more in the conversation for him. Came back in January, like Jerry said, and that wasn't just multi-day visit. That was a multi-day visit during an ice storm. Like he didn't let weather affect his plans, and then obviously came back 2 more times in the spring. JT Garachi, Texas's other tight end commit, he's a guy that's been actively recruiting him to join him in this class. So he likes the idea of a 2 tight end class. But Brock Williams is a kid that he's gone about his own timeline. He's not letting someone else dictate, when he's going to announce. He's told in interviews that he's going to announce probably at the end of spring and beginning of the summer, and that's what he's kept his word on. May 15th is pretty much exactly what he's kind of pointed to whenever he has given an interview. He's been very quiet for the most part, but has let you know his top 3. Now he's let you know his commitment date. And looking back at top players in the past years, guys that don't really care about the spotlight as much on the social media stuff and tweeting where you're ranked and whatnot. That not always the best turnout. But with Brock Williams, I think he's focused on the right things, and he's done what he said he's going to do. So I think as someone that's following recruiting and as a Texas fan that wants him in the class, or Texas fans that want him in the class, I think that's a positive sign.
CJ, Texas has 1 tight end in the boat already in this cycle, and when you look at that position under Jeff Banks and Steve Sarkisian, it's been a little bit of a developmental position. CJ, do you like the potential if Brock Williams picks Texas of this being a 2 tight end class for Texas, and what kind of 2 tight end class this could be?
Yeah, I like it a lot. And I say that because I think evaluating tight ends at the high school level is very difficult, right? You see either a too tall of a wide receiver and you have to transition him into a tight end, or you see a guy that's, maybe more of a heavy set guy that doesn't have the route tree, right? And so you have to pick and choose where they're starting their career. Now, I think Brock Williams is on the lighter side, obviously around 220 pounds at the moment. He will very obviously grow into the mold in the frame that will come with being a college tight end. But you see the physicality. You see him not shying away from contact with the ball in his hands. You see him lowering his shoulder, climbing to the second level whenever he is asked to run block. That is something that is not often taught and really accepted by guys that have to convert from being a big wide receiver into being an inline tight end. So I think the mental side is there. I think the physical side, obviously, as we're seeing on his highlight tape, he's done. He has highlights for a reason, right? He is a very talented football player, but bridging what we're seeing in the blocking game versus the vertical passing attack will allow for a much higher ceiling than I think we've seen with a lot of the tight end takes under Steve Sarkisian and Jeff Banks. It gets me to thinking about Gunnar Helm and some of the highlights that we saw in the passing game. I don't know if he has the leaping ability and the hurdling ability that Gunnar has, but I don't know if Gunnar necessarily lowered his hat like what we saw out of Brock Williams' highlights up in Illinois. So exciting nonetheless, especially when you start pairing that together with JT Gavartri as well, and just how physical that duo might be on the inline and in 12 personnel.
I will ask our esteemed panelists. Jerry mentioned it a little bit ago. It's Texas, it's Georgia, it's Ohio State for Brock Williams. Jerry, Hank, CJ, any of you guys want to call your shot on how this goes on Friday?
I don't like Georgia's chances.
I don't like Ohio State's chances.
I think we're done here.
All right, CJ.
And it will all be wrong. CJ gets to sit back and say, hey, I didn't say anything.
No official word on or off the record from CJ Vogel on this. All right. We've got a couple more tidbits to get to on the recruiting trail. But before we do that, Jerry, one more time, let's give a shout out to our long running sponsor here on the Recruiting Breakdown. That's Mark Saunders.
Yeah, when it comes to protecting all your stuff, Mark Saunders is your guy. Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders. He serves the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. Oh, and by the way, he's also a Texas alum. Do it so many other on Texas football community members have done the last 2.5 years. That is called Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571. All your insurance needs include your home, car, boat, motorcycle, RV, ATV, and anything else. Again, call Texas alum Mark Saunders today, 512-218-8571.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Guys, normally we go with some final thoughts, but we got business to get to. And, Jerry, it starts with Bryson Thrower. He's got a commitment date now set for July 17th. What can you tell us about the guy that's emerged likely as the top in-state wide receiver target for this staff in 2027?
Yeah, he's been the top in-state guy for a while. Texas, Sarkisian, Chris Jackson, they really like Bryson Thrower out of North Forney. Military family, he's moved around a lot. He once went to school in Killeen. Then he was up in Wichita, Kansas. He moved to North Forney a couple of years ago. Saw him in person earlier in the spring, a great looking frame now. I mean, he's run 10.75, 10.77 and 100 too as well this year to go at 6'3", 185. I could say feet are on fire, quick feet getting off the line for a big receiver. Put out the July 17th commitment date yesterday, which I thought was interesting in terms of the date. And I think it's because there's some family connection there. There's an important date in the family. But what will be interesting about that is my personal belief is he'll have to silently commit before then, because there's going to be guys coming off the board, and there's going to be guys wanting to commit to some of the schools he is considering. And so I think it's going to put him in an interesting position. I think there's a couple of schools that if he wants to go to, they're going to be like, hey, you're going to have to give us a silent commitment here because we have to make some decisions on players. So we at least have to know where we're at with you in late June. First week of July, not July 17th. That one will be very interesting to see, or if he changes a date even. But I look, Texas A&M, Illinois, Texas Tech are your final four in this. He's already made an official visit to Illinois. Justin Steps recruited the state a long time, got him on campus, has done a great job with that recruitment. Holman Wiggins has been recruiting him a long time at A&M. He's telling, hey, we'll move you all around the field if you come to A&M, and obviously Holman Wiggins is now the OC. And then Chris Jackson had an in-home visit on Monday night with Bryson Thrower after he announced his decision date. But Chris Jackson, Texas staff, has made it known to Bryson Thrower that he's the top in-state wide receiver for a while, and that, the recruitment of Monsoon Sales doesn't have any impact on him. And I think that's a key thing that the hurdle Texas has to get over that other schools may try to use against Texas. But that July 17th date, what'll be interesting with that is number one, does he keep that date? And number two, my prediction is if he does keep that date, he'll have to make a silent commitment to one of these schools beforehand because too many guys are coming off the board early this year. Those schools are going to have to know where they stand.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Hank, you're going to finish this up this week. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the cornerback board here on the show. And one of those corner prospects, Dylan McGee out of Red Oak, he's got a commitment date locked in. Hank, you reported this over at ontexasfootball.com on Tuesday. What's the latest with Dylan McGee?
Yeah, Dylan McGee, cornerback out of Red Oak. He confirmed with OTF this morning that he has a top 3 and a commitment date of June 25th. His top 3 is Texas, SMU, and Penn State. So I think when you look at that just from surface level, Texas, SMU are kind of the two schools right there. And it's interesting, obviously the cornerback conversation with Texas starts with John Meredith as always, as it should. With his official visits coming up, that's Texas A&M thing. But we're seeing these I don't want to say second-tier cornerbacks, but guys, below John Meredith, obviously, on the board start to announce their decision dates, whether it's Montre Jackson, who has June 26th, and Dylan McGee now June 25th. There's a handful of other guys that Texas is in on, Cameron Roberson, Brandon Sherrard, Trent Blaylock, who has very highly thought of inside Texas. So it's going to be interesting to see how this comes together, because it could come together mostly in the month of June at that cornerback position. We know it's going to be a bigger class, but Dylan McGee is a guy that Texas really, really likes, a guy that's been on campus already this spring. You watch his tape. He's got pretty good size, 6'1", 175, plays really sticky coverage, has the requisite speed. He's a 10-6 kid. And so you can see what Texas likes. He doesn't force a lot of turnovers, but he's involved in most of the plays. He can come up and run support. So you can see why Texas likes him a lot in his junior film that we linked over on Texas Football. But I like where Texas stands right now. Obviously, we're over a month out. Things could change by then, and there's going to be other official visits taken, by cornerback targets. But you look at his OV date for June 19th through 21st in Texas. That's 4 days before he's announcing. So, you got to like where Texas stands with that. I will say SMU can change things. They can obviously come in over the top if they really covet him and want to make a bigger NIL push. They can do that. We saw that happen with Amari Vickerson. He looked on the verge of flipping to Texas. I think SMU stepped in and said, no, we're going to keep you. So you got to keep that in mind with SMU, certainly in this NIL era. But I think Texas is in a good spot, as we sit here in mid-May.
I want to add something on Dylan McGee too. I like that Penn State is in his final 3. I like that Matt Campbell likes Dylan McGee. Matt Campbell has a track record of the guys that may not be the most highly ranked guys, and Dylan McGee's a 4-star prospect that may not be the most highly ranked guys in the state of Texas or in the state of Florida. He has turned out pretty well when he was at Iowa State, some of those guys. I mean, look at the safety Cooper from El Paso. Guy's was a tremendous player at Iowa State. So I always like it when Matt Campbell likes a secondary player or a running back that's not highly ranked nationally.
All right, Jerry, Hank, CJ, thank you guys so much for the knowledge, the intel, the expertise as always. Big thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it, doing the great job that he does, and big thank you to Mark Saunders for sponsoring this edition of the Recruiting Breakdown. If you want the latest up-to-the-minute recruiting information, where the Texas staff is on the road, where the OTF staff is on the road, offers, commitment dates, we've got it for you over at ontexasfootball.com, and you still have time to get over to the site and take advantage of our spring sale. Just use the promo code OTFOG when you sign up and become an OTFOG and get 1 year of access at ontexasfootball.com for just $39.95. Make sure that you like this video, that you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel, and that you've got those notifications set so that way anytime we go live or drop a new video, you're not missing any of our Longhorn coverage or breaking news. For CJ, for Hank, for Jerry, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas Football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and until next time. Welcome.
Hey guys, Blake Monroe here from Coffee and Football. YouTube thinks that you're going to like this video right here, and if the algorithm knows ball, it's a good one. So go check it out, and then don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button.